My name is John Cole, Mayor of the City of Fruit Heights. We're meeting with an anchor location at 7 at the Fruit Heights City Office at 910 South Mountain Road, Fruit Heights City, Utah 4037. We're going to begin this meeting with a Pledge of Allegiance, which I will lead, and then a prayer or thought by Mark. Would the audience please rise?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father, as we humbly come before you, Father, we're thankful for the blessings that we have for this beautiful city and beautiful area that we have the opportunity. And we would ask that as a city council and office staff, that we will have the needs of our entire city in our thoughts and processes, discussions, that we have open discussion and try to make the city a more enjoyable and successful city for all of our residents. Please be with us that we'll be able to talk freely and make sure that we respect everybody's opinion. And we say this in Jesus Christ.
Amen. Item 1.3, which is roll call. Haley?
Councilmember Gary Anderson.
Here.
Councilmember Mark Cottrell.
Here.
Councilmember Anthony Moss.
Here.
Councilmember Florence Sadler.
Here.
Councilmember Sean Stevenson.
Here.
Mayor John Coleman.
Here. Thank you. Item number 2, conflict of interest. Do we have any conflicts of interest to declare this time? Seeing or hearing any, we're going to move on to the public comment period. It's where the city has the opportunity, or residents have the opportunity to present or discuss anything they would like. Do we have anyone that would like to say anything tonight? Please, would you mind just coming forward? Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, I had a number of items I wanted to mention. Good time limit.
3 minutes, but you'll.
I'm just kidding.
You and I both understand you're fine.
Okay. Yeah, I had 3 items that I wanted to mention. First of all, I guess I always have to say that I'm grateful for you guys and the work you do. I know it's a thankless job a lot of times, and you have to spend a lot of hours. So I appreciate the work you do on behalf of the city. First thing I wanted to mention was I just wanted to compliment whoever does the city newsletter. It's really, really good. I don't know who does that.
Karen Coleman.
Karen does. She does a great job. But I mean, how many stuffy government newsletters do you see? And this one is just so readable and interesting to look through. So I just wanted to compliment you on an outstanding job there. And on that one, I saw that there was something about recycling, so I wanted to make a couple of comments about that. Is that on the agenda?
It is, but we would love to comment, actually.
Okay. Well, no, I didn't know if it was on the agenda. I would have commented anyway. But I 100% support recycling, curbside recycling in the city at this point. I know at times it wasn't really it was a little bit different scenario and things were different 10, 12 years ago. But I think we see a lot of people saying, well, we can't have curbside because it'll cost us more money and I don't want to pay that. But if you don't, in my view, it seems like every time I go to the dump, that landfill area gets fuller and fuller and fuller. And I don't know how many more years they project that there won't be before it's completely full. And at that point, if we're not doing something to keep things out of the landfill, we're going to all be paying the price. We're going to be paying a lot of money to have them ship garbage out to
Skull Valley is where it's
I was
going.
going to say Tooele.
Skull Valley is where some of it's going right now.
Okay. So I just wanted to mention that, you know, I really support that. And I think and in fact, I think it should be something done district-wide. Because if Fruit Heights does the right thing and does mandatory recycling for the whole community, they won't make a big enough dent that the bigger cities could do if they would do recycling. And also remember, green waste is part of our recycling. I saw in the newsletter said we don't do recycling right now, but we are doing curbside green waste recycling, which is a big thing also. The last item I wanted to mention was talking about the election ordinance that you're looking at. When I saw the agenda for tonight's meeting, it says, consider, have a discussion on the results of this survey that was sent out. And then down a few items now it says, set a public hearing for the ordinance. And to me, that seems like you're just going through the motions and going to move on to set a public hearing for an ordinance. And I'm concerned that you're moving very fast and trying to just crank it out and get it done. And I would like to see you take a little bit of a slower pace, especially since this ordinance would be undoing 85 years worth of tradition in Fruit Heights. That you take a little bit of slower approach and look at what are the things that aren't working in the caucus right now. Maybe put a task force together to consider changes that can be made. Look at what people are complaining about and see if there's ways you can just tweak the system to make it work well in their case, and be able to, we've got the elections coming up this spring, or the caucus meetings are scheduled for this spring. You could look at some of those tweaks and try to implement them at that time, and then afterwards get back together and say, did this work or didn't it? And what would be the best way to move forward? So I hope that you'll take it a little bit slower and consider it, since this is such a significant ordinance. I know that when I was on the city council, there was times we were working on new ordinances, and we took months and months and reviewed and changed and discussed before we actually got it passed. But you do the survey, have your discussion in the meeting, set a public hearing, have a public hearing, pass the ordinance. That's what it sounds. That's what it feels like to me, and the way the agenda came out. Now I'm just telling you that's the appearance it gave me. So, and then I sent an email, a fairly lengthy email last week or so, to give you my feelings about all sorts of different things on that particular topic. So I won't try to beat the drum anymore. So,
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
I will follow up with you personally. I'd love to talk a little bit more and pick your brain a little more. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you for taking the call last week.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
Anyone else? Hold on. Would you like to say something?
Yeah,
Yeah, come forward.
Members of Council, I'm Blake Winslow. I live 951 East Meeting House Road. I appreciate you all and everything that's done. I appreciate the staff here. I wanted to just mention two things. One, as we're moving forward towards budget season and talking about things that may need to be done, I have a concern. It's closer to where I live, but the road at 400 North, where it meets with Old Farm Road, that intersection has gotten a little bit more difficult, and the neighbors that I've spoken to about it have all expressed the same concern, which is we have a line of sight issue right there. When I was in high school, I was at Viewmont, but I came up to DATC to get my CNA, and I was hit by a car on Main Street. The car was going 40 miles an hour and hit me, and I'm really lucky to be alive and standing and walking. I don't want to see someone get hit there before we put a light in. Where I got hit, they put a light in after I was hit. So I'm really fortunate and grateful that I'm still here. The second one is I would also like to...
Can I pump your brakes and answer that question real quick?
Absolutely.
So we actually have assigned a city council member who is a liaison for all traffic and safety concerns. Actually, Eileen Moss. Would you mind talking with her specifically about that? And have her come present some ideas and some thoughts about that specifically.
I know that it's a difficult issue because right there, where the line of sight issue is actually with Kaysville, so it wouldn't be on our property. But and then the second one would just be
Sorry, Derek, go ahead.
Yeah, just a heads up, Kaysville is in the process of going through and widening 200, 400 north, all the way from Fruit Heights city boundaries,
okay.
all the way down to the bank. That has started.
Well, so I know that they've done, because I'm talking my heads off.
So that, as they're going to come out, you're going to see a lot of changes this summer,
No, it's
a year and a half.
So you're,
Will that extend all the way to 89?
it'll go all the way to Blue White City.
Yeah, right to the boundary.
Right to that
But
boundary.
then
But that,
Before-
that
It is-
portion
it is
not
something
scheduled
that's-
until like a year.
Oh, okay, so this will be.
The bottom half
Yes.
is done right now,
Okay.
but not
But it is
the top.
something that's started.
And then, the second one is just a comment, I know it is on the agenda, but I also am interested in the electoral process here in the city, and, I don't think it'd be surprised that I am interested in running for one of the open seats, and I do think that, more public comment or more of a conversation as a city is something that is warranted. But other than that, that's all, I appreciate your time.
So can I ask you a question? What more comment would you like to see? What else would you like to see?
So we had, I believe it was 140 or so people that voted online about the electoral process.
Right.
And it was pretty overwhelming in one direction, correct? The conversation that I'm not seeing though is about whether or not would become a partisan election, how that process would go.
So statewide, all city council positions are non-affiliated, they're nonpartisan. So we could not create a partisan city council.
So we would just eliminate the caucus entirely, and it would just be.
If that was the decision, we would move to a primary, which would be the same way that every other city makes it, it would be nonpartisan.
Okay. Yeah, that's it.
And call me, reach out if you ever have any questions or you want to discuss anything.
But anyway, thank you, I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Blake.
Thank you.
Hey, how are you? Thanks for coming.
Did you want to make a
Did you
comment?
want to make a comment?
I sure do.
You just right in the nick of time.
Just leave it alone. I had a house full of people. I'm Diane Anderson, live at 152 South, 450 East. I just want to make a couple comments about the caucus. I don't know if it's a controversy yet.
It's perfect timing.
I just feel very strongly that the way that the sagebrush and the pinecone parties have worked for us for all our historical time, I put my vote in for that, mostly because, especially in this day of such heated politicalness, it's even more necessary for us to keep this lovely balance of representing our whole community, because you can come in and the parties don't have their heated political agendas. You're just representing the whole residents, the whole city as a whole. And I just feel like, as I've attended those caucus meetings, it's really wonderful because the people who really care about our city show up to those meetings. And then we don't really have an active political, what should I say, group of activists that want to get in there and serve on city council or to be mayor. We really have to, I don't want to say scrape, but really have to dig within our community to get people to run. And so I think it's really worked for us in the past that people who come will step up to the plate, and it's not as threatening, it's not as, I should say, politically heated as it could be. And we're a small city, and I just want to put in the pitch for it. It's worked for us for all these years, what, 100 years? And I think it even more now, as we go into the future, it can work for us.
Thank you, Diane.
So thank
We
you.
love seeing you. Thanks for coming. Any other further comments? We're going to move on to item number 4. We have a presentation from the YCC. Would you mind coming up? Or the Youth City Council? That was my fault. I told them last night that they could be on the agenda.
I'm Landon Jacobs, a representative from the Fruit Heights Youth City Council, here to give our monthly report on some of our activities, just briefly. So we went to a firehouse tour at the Farmington Fire Station, and we're going to do that again next year. They loved it a lot. We're looking forward to our annual April egg hunt that we're going to throw on here. And after that, tomorrow is the USU Leadership Conference for all the city councils in the state. So they're going to go to the Young Youth City Leadership Council Conference at USU tomorrow, or Thursday through Saturday.
Great.
That's pretty much what we've been doing.
How many
What day was
members,
the Easter egg hunt?
how many members are going to be going from our community?
I think it's something like 15 or so.
I think it's 15 over 25, very young, it's actually pretty good.
That's pretty good.
The staff had a question about the Easter egg hunt. Do you have-
Easter egg, what day?
What day? That I think is, let me check. It's April. Saturday, April 19th.
19?
19?
Yes.
You have time?
Yes, I think it's 8:30 to, let's see.
8:30 to 8:33?
No,
10 a.m. is the start of the hunt.
it's 10:04.
Yeah.
10.
Yes.
Mhm.
Landon, we really appreciate what you do as the city council. Is there anything that we can do as a council to support you and your youth, city council?
I don't think we have anything, but I don't know if Gene reached out to you, but we were thinking about, since there's been some like reorganization, if we were gonna do something about the city paying for the candy we're gonna give out for Easter egg hunt.
That is a daring question. The candy for the egg hunt. We'll get it with Gene. We'll leave it to you by the time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks for coming. Item number 4, we're just gonna have some discussion. Item number 5, 5.1, the election process. This is just a conversation, Darren. You want to present some of the results and lead us in a discussion on this?
So, I put this back onto the, agenda to see if the city council did want to hold a public hearing, and hear from the public at a public hearing about the election process. Part of that would be that we would have to have an ordinance prepared, if they did want to change. It's not saying that it is something that the council does need to change, but it would be having an ordinance prepared, having a public hearing for residents to come and voice their opinion, and then, whatever the council would decide from that. If it is, we've talked with Davis County. The deadline for changing is the very last of April. So advertising, getting information out to the residents about a public hearing, getting an ordinance finished, would be a few weeks out. So it would be a meeting, probably the second meeting in April. Or maybe the first, just depending, but I would expect it to be the second meeting in April that we would do that. So it's getting information out and making sure that the public's voice is heard to the council. But I think that's one way to help answer the questions that the council has about those who want to hear about it. So that's why I put that back on the agenda for that purpose.
Thank you. Is there any other way that we can hear from residents? We did a survey, we posted it on social media, we put it on the agenda a couple times. Actually, this is the second time.
This is the second time it's been on the agenda, yeah. We put it on the agenda the first time, just to bring up the results and get the results out to the residents, about the survey, and for the council to know if the results are out and what they had the results.
Do you have a specific cost difference as far as running a primary election versus caucus?
So I will tell you, primary election is still divided up between the districts. So is Benchlands having an election this year? So they'll have people involved. If they run their primary, they take a portion of it. The sewer district is having a board election this year. So they figure the cost would be about $5,000 to run a primary.
So hold on, can we just go back? So we say when it's divided up between the districts,
So
are all cities paying?
So Fruit Heights has the election process that we pay for every year.
Right.
If
For the general election.
for the election for Fruit Heights.
Yeah.
If Central Davis has an election that year, they pay a percentage of that election on the ballot. If Benchland has an election that year for theirs, they have that same thing. So there's portions of that election that are paid for, and that would pay for both on the primary, and that paid both on the regular election.
So when you say it's 5,000, is that 5,000 for
The primary.
Oh, for just the primary.
And then you'd have about the same cost for the regular election.
So would it?
That would be, like, that's probably the top end from my understanding, right? That'd be like the very top end of the cost for,
Because you mentioned it was between $35,000 to $4,000 before, and this, so
if they have nothing, then we pay for the full cost of that primary.
okay.
But they do have, right now, they do have expectations to have a primary for those that they have.
If we leave our caucus system behind, can we ever go backwards?
I would say probably yes, but once again, it's a vote up to the council and change the ordinance.
But it doesn't-
Change the ordinance. That's what it is.
The state doesn't preclude us from going backwards.
No, this is all your guys' ordinance, it's just a contract with Davis County, so like back, you would just not have that contract with Frederick.
What was the cons of switching? Pro being people that don't feel that they have a voice to be heard within the community, consider their name, correct?
Yes, sir. They're both nonpartisan, so as far as that, any city government of our size or even that it's a nonpartisan race. Yes, I think there are cons to the primary. As you go through it, if you don't get enough people running,
That's the
you
biggest.
usually don't have that as much. You can get the 3 people in a caucus and walk out, but yet you still may have people drop out, just like this last time. So I see positives on the primary. I see positive, the positives on the caucus. I would think it is community getting together, discussing those that are going on the ballot.
How many do you need for primary? You said you could not have enough.
Just, you need at least to have more than 2 for each opening. So if you had 3 people for mayor, you would hold the primary. If you had
If we only had
2 and 2, you would not hold the primary that year.
So, Darren, one of the things that I think hasn't been discussed that is somewhat different is it used to be when the caucus was first put together that if you talk someone into running at the caucus meeting and then they went home and they were sick to their stomach and said, oh, I can't do that. We had the chair of the caucus was then responsible for finding someone else to run. Because of deadlines, that no longer is a possibility. And so we can't have the party committee go roust somebody else out
And just say, come on.
and say, come and run. Because that certainly, I mean, that's how Rick Miller ended up being mayor, was that the one party couldn't find anyone that wanted to run, and so they talked him into it. I dare say that more than half of the council members that have ever served in this city had their arms twisted to consider running at least the first time. At least the first time.
So, and I may agree with that a little bit. I think, I think it's hard to get out. I will tell you, from when this has started coming up back in October, as I've talked to different individuals, I have had more than one person call me and say, I have participated in the caucus. I am not of the dominant faith, and I do not have a chance to be on that ballot, even if I ask people. Which I think that's, it could be them not inviting people, but it's also, once again, it's very common here.
It's also,
I can see it.
it's very common that we can't fill the ballot, so I don't know why they weren't here putting their name in, because
I
can't
think,
fill our
you
ballot.
have your feelings hurt or whatever, you're going like, like, man, I really wanted to run, I was trying to get nominated, and I couldn't get nominated.
I don't think that has ever happened. I don't think that has ever happened.
Well, the downside of it, we saw last election cycle where we had 6 people downstairs on wanting to be on the ballot, and we could only take 4.
We eliminated 1 downstairs. There were, remember we were running for 3 positions,
Right.
and there were 4 that ran.
I thought it was 5.
There's
No. Who was it?
It
No.
was Terrell.
Did you decide to? Terrell Bodley was the only one that got eliminated.
I know his name, I can't remember his name.
No,
I believe there were 6 of us that were in front, answering questions. Right?
Yes.
it may have been you that was eliminated.
Eliminated.
No,
You made the ballot.
no, you made the ballot,
There were
yeah.
6 individuals.
That's right.
And last time when we
So
were
who-
downstairs, there were the 3 of us
Mhm.
and 3 other people.
Yeah.
We sat
Who was it?
I
Terrell Bodley was the only one that I remember.
Terrell was there was 2 others.
There was more than 5.
Yeah.
I want to say there was 6, probably 7, but we all answered questions, kind of an open forum, everyone answered, and then the people that were in the room did the vote to dance.
So,
7-3.
and that's the downside where we had multiple people where up here, we were wrangling people to try and be on it. Where if you had a primary, and I'm just throwing this out there as a con of the caucus, that you don't get everyone who actually wants to be on.
Well, and that's where I came up with my suggestion. Maybe we do a tweak and we all meet together in one room and make nominations. Then you draw straws and you say, you're going A, you're going B, and for however many people want to run. And then you make sure.
And whoever wants to support some of those people, they go this way, they go that way, whatever.
I will tell you that I've always been in favor of the caucus. The intent of bringing this up was to see if we could find a way to remove on the ballot itself, on the general election ballot, pine cone and sagebrush that has caused contention or caused confusion. That's the only reason this has come up, and we keep on going further and further until recently. I think I see a different side where I don't know. I don't know if what the conversation is, but I think it is definitely something we should hear from the public. I don't think there's a reason why we wouldn't. Even if we don't make a decision, even if it's decided at a public meeting that we don't do anything, I think that's better than not doing anything at all.
I think the consistent thing across, whether we change it or not, is that there's not people coming to show up to participate as well. So,
What do you mean?
People aren't willing to serve. People are not showing up to serve. We've had people in the past. I mean, that's kind of what I've been hearing through hearing former city council members and other things. That we're just, the participation isn't there. Whether we change it or not, I don't think that's going to change.
And I don't, yeah, that's what I can't tell you, I don't know. I don't know if we would get more people running on the primary or we wouldn't. That's what I don't know. It's an opportunity for those that don't feel that they can be nominated to maybe put their ballot in and be able to run. But this is just something I wanted to bring up and to see if we want to do a public hearing and have the public here in the council with comments, or is it something we just still want to continue to discuss and not?
Sometimes being in a room with people in a caucus meeting, and you see who's running, you think, I don't really like that guy. Maybe I better stand up and run. Doing it the primary way, you don't have that opportunity. And if he's the only guy running, guess what you're stuck with? The guy you didn't actually want being there. And you didn't have a chance.
But once again, I look at that on the whole other side of, then I should have stepped up even before then.
It's easy to say that, but for your first time, it's pretty nerve-wracking.
I would not put that past that. I think anytime you're running an election, primary or not, it is nerve-wracking when you have to.
Well, yeah, but especially your first time. Especially your first time.
Well, if we had a primary, obviously, hopefully we get enough people to step up. And if any, 12 is a good sign, if it hopefully
If it would work out, yeah. I'm not saying it will.
I mean, I would look at that list and there would be a way to click on, just like in a regular elections, right? There would be a way to find out about that person, to see a picture. Oh, and a lot of people know these people. Hopefully there would be somebody I would know, and I would know whether I trusted them or not.
But at that point, you don't even yourself have the opportunity to stand up or talk somebody like your neighbor into
Sure, I
trying.
can.
No,
If
because,
I'm the bridge runner that elects, hey, you should go up to the office and.
but I mean, by the time you're actually learning about that candidate, it's usually too late.
Whereas at the caucus meeting, you've learned something about them
Because
before you
can
ever
see
vote
you
for
can
them.
talk to them, you can question, you can have the question, you can have the dialogue right there in the meeting. You're there, you're on the spot.
I love caucus meetings, but I'm.
So, Bill, like I said, this is discussion right now.
So
there is a
the
second.
question is this something that we want to proceed and have a public hearing over?
So is this the
So-
time to discuss?
This is just the
We're-
discussion.
Darren, in best case scenario, Benchland and or anybody, sewer district.
I will tell you
Best-
this,
best
Benchland is
case.
not very much,
Okay.
because they're right here.
Right,
So they're very small.
but best case scenario, what is our cost? If everybody else wants to jump in,
Well, it'd be a little bit less than that, if the sewer district was in
if
there.
the sewer district jumps in, how much is it gonna cost us? Best case,
42.
$4,200.
So this is the time to discuss.
It depends on.
If we want to have a public hearing, we're gonna.
Okay, we don't have to wait until.
It goes by the registered voting.
Right, we're gonna
Whoever
vote
registered members, that's what they
right now, we're discussing.
So,
Okay.
that is what the cost goes by.
Here's one of my thoughts. We've already given a survey, yeah, it's a small amount, we got a lot of comments. Do we need to also have the public hearing? I kind of don't think so, I think we've already got it.
Well, it would be an ordinance change, so we would have to do a public hearing.
Oh, we would have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you were going to switch to a primary,
That's what we're voting
you
on.
have to have an ordinance change to switch to a primary election. That has to be part of that.
And why would you not want to?
Right, well, because we've already heard from.
A few people.
And in the survey and stuff.
No,
Well, anytime we have an ordinance change in the city, it's a public hearing.
So the question is, are we serious enough about changing it that we want to seriously have it?
yes.
I personally feel we do need to move forward with the public hearing. We saw that on the survey. And yes, we've been discussing this for over 6 months. So I think we need to kind of move forward with it and see where a public hearing goes.
Mark, how many caucus meetings had you been to before you came to this one?
Probably about 4 or 5.
And had you decided before the caucus meeting that you were intending to run?
On this last one.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Just curious.
But if I had been downstairs, I would not have had a prayer of a chance of getting on. Being upstairs, we only probably had, 12, 16, 18 people. And we finally had somebody get up and say, just to end the meeting, I'll put my name on. The other person decided to back out, before the election. That other person stayed on and took 225 votes away. And I just spoke for just a couple minutes. I don't think you really got that much out of it. I think where you get the most out of it is when you meet the candidates. And I've been to quite a few of those, and that, I think, has swayed me more than a caucus.
Do you feel that being upstairs where there was less people essentially benefited you? Get along about them?
Well, just because I was the only one, me and there was just 2 of us that put the names in. But I didn't really know anybody that was up there.
The only reason I bring that up is because I showed up initially when I was going to run to support Gary Anderson. That's why I showed up. And seeing some of the people up there, I thought I could do better. And that's why I went for it. And I'm just saying that I still feel like, yes, 12 people showed up to go for the seat that you guys are looking for your grades. But I also think that was $25 for a short-term stay. Having use of it. When it actually comes to a 4-year commitment, and that, I think that's where we still lack the numbers. I just want to make that, just because Hope came forward a month ago, I don't use that data as the historical.
Right.
That's
So, you know, I keep going back to, there's got to be some way to more evenly divide people who really want to run, because certainly we need everybody that wants to run. And so the idea here is how do we allow everyone that wants to at least make their voice known out there? And because this is the way it has been over and over and over again, nobody, okay, we fill 1 or 2 seats, but you can't fill 3. And it's been that way in both caucus meetings over the years, and people have stepped forward. And that's what I'm saying. Many, many times people have stepped forward and have decided, as Gary said, that night that they would run. I'm just thinking, is there a way to, rather than throw this out completely, right up front, is there a way to do something different? You know, I want to run for mayor. Do I take a little ticket out that's and head downstairs, or do I just, you know, just put a, you know, who wants to run for mayor? And you have a little whiteboard out there. Who wants to run for council? You have a little whiteboard. And if 3 people have checked that they want to run downstairs or upstairs, then you go to the different meeting. I'm just thinking of ways to encourage people to run, because I still think it's a problem.
I'm pretty open to changing the way we run the caucus meeting like you're suggesting.
Okay,
does the caucus technically have to be separate?
Yes, it does.
It's gotta be 2 different, groups. Like I said, and I talked to Brian about the same thing, that any party could run for our caucus. So if somebody came in here and they had 4 people and they didn't like either one, and they nominated 3 of those people, they could be on our ballot on a whole different name. And we would have to, state law.
Does that happen if we take the names away?
Huh?
If we take the names away, does that happen?
Yeah, because you're still a caucus system.
caucus system, anyone can come in and
That's part of state law. Brian.
As a resident, I can come in and file and say, I'm not Pinecone or Sagebrush, I'm going to file as Republican.
And personally,
But it's nonpartisan.
Personally, I think
It's just a name, though. You still are nonpartisan, but you can say Republican.
But if you take off the names, if you say there are no names, I mean, if you take off the Pinecone Sagebrush.
A or B, because you are 2 different groups.
Personally, I think if somebody wants to come and do that, so be it.
They may or may not get elected.
They may or may not.
Just like anybody else.
That's another.
Can special
Con.
interests make a problem with the primary?
No, not the primary.
Because, will you explain it?
So with a caucus system, the way the caucus system is right now, a special interest group could come in and pretty much fill our ballots.
Why can't they do that in a primary?
Because a primary is you self-sign. And if we have 12 people run for 3 seats, everyone has an equal chance.
So,
even if you had 20.
So wait a
You
minute.
still have it.
It's the same thing, because what you just told me, what you just said was in a caucus meeting, somebody else could come in. So if I went to the caucus meeting and I really wanted to run and I wasn't chosen, I could still come in and get my name on the ballot. That's what you just told me.
That night.
Yes.
Yeah, that night you could turn around and say, hey, there's another party.
I can create
We
a
want to create a party right then.
So it's the same thing.
No, with a primary, the individuals nominate themselves, and that's what they do. They come in and fill out the application and say, I want to run for mayor, or I want to run for.
Anybody can get one person to vote for them.
So
No, it's not themselves.
the challenge is our process is decided by, on average, 56 individuals. Let's say, just throwing out hypotheticals, what if someone went out and was very motivated and got 60 people to show up with 3 or 6 individuals? 3 of them wanted to be on the ballot, backed by a special interest group of any whatever, and you had 3 that didn't. And they had more people in each caucus room than everyone else combined. Let's say we had 20 up here, they had another 20 people, and they were all going to vote for 3 people. downstairs did the exact same thing, they could completely control our ballot.
Really think a
100%
lot higher of our
But
community than that.
why couldn't they do something very similar with a primary? And also.
I mean, if you're gonna buy votes, you buy votes. I don't think
Well, I agree with that.
I don't think that's what our community is.
Our community should be like that, and you would hope our communities.
Yeah, like, and,
But I'm saying.
and also you'd have to have 6 people willing to do this.
To throw it.
Honestly, I'm
Do you see it happening?
I don't see it happening.
But it is
And
a possibility.
it is a possibility.
So, let's go back to the original, like, it's not, well, we're not voting right now, but do we or do we not, let's do a public hearing, we discuss it further in a public hearing. I totally understand, I get the point of Mayor Stevenson, that by doing this, we are putting forward the idea that we are going to change it, and people are here to change it.
Yeah, and we're gonna be like everybody else.
Yes.
I like the history of our city. That's what we found on, it's that, I mean, whether we get rid of the sacred Russian, I don't know. But there's something to be said about just because everybody else is doing it. The reason I would want to go to primary, there was an inherent risk, which is special interest groups buying it, but at the same time, if I want to buy votes, and same with land developer and big chunk stock, I want to throw some money at, I can buy votes just the same way. And so, we have pros and cons to each. And,
But hopefully with the primary, and you see those names, you would know at least some of them and their history, and whether or not they would be trusted and or to throw something.
I think people learn more about you at a caucus than they do in the primary, because other than meet candidates tonight, it's very hard sometimes to get to know people.
How many people are going to have to participate? I think that is, to me, that's the biggest sticking point. And if we're not having people show up to participate, and somebody gets their name on the ballot, and you're just kind of stuck with it, you're stuck with it. And so, I mean, there's pros and cons.
Our political future is decided by our caucus, and that is decided by, on average, 56 individuals, as compared to putting it to a primary where everyone has a chance to vote. Which one is more valid? Which one carries more weight? I think if we allow every resident a chance to vote, it provides that opportunity, as compared to the future of our city decided by, on average, 56 individuals.
And it gives everyone a chance to run.
Yes, but on the flip side, we
Everybody.
don't get the chance of filling a ballot is different. But if we do fill a ballot, it'd be filled with people who want to, who know the commitment to do it, not just, I guess I'll do it, whatever, and then they drop out.
Or you have the special interest person that gets pushed forward.
Right. So the conversation is, do we or do we not? I feel like we've had enough discussion. Is that okay? Let's move on to item number 5.2, which is recycling survey. If you want to lead us out on that.
So, we had this discussion upstairs about surveys and stuff like that. Is this, do we want to move forward with the recycling survey? I know we've put a lot of information out on our social media, Ridge Runner, and we've got a lot of comments back over the last
Couple
couple
weeks.
weeks to the council. We put the survey together. You've all had the chance to read it. We actually, there's questions on that we got from Wasatch Integrated Waste. They actually had a professional firm come in and try to stay very neutral on their questions, and we feel like the questions that we put together are fairly neutral, one way or the other. Part of this is if we are moving forward with something like this, it's a big part of our budget, and we need to be able to plan our budget to meet this demand. If we're not going to move forward and we won't do that, it's still we need to look at it as a budget thing.
So again, I feel that more data is always helpful, and I value comments and the opinion of the residents in a survey. I know might stand alone in that fact, but I appreciate the effort that's been put forward by the staff to put these together, and the comments are valuable. I feel seeing and hearing what the residents want. That's my
I would agree with that. We've kind of teed it up with the last couple of ridge runners, so we've got people thinking about it. I think we should get a survey out just as soon as we possibly can and hear from more residents. I mean, today we saw 9 comments, positive, negative, concerning, whatever, but it's letting us get information out to our residents so they have like a voice. And I think on the last 2 surveys we did, yeah, the pie charts are cute, and that tells you something, but really the meat was in some of the comments. So I personally think we should move forward with
Anyway,
No, we haven't.
no.
So,
Personally, I guess,
can you hear him, Haley?
can you hear me?
Okay, great.
So, that's not what they want me to do.
Yeah.
So personally, I kind of would be surprised if most of the council is against recycling. I don't get the intuition that I've heard comments negative towards it. And I'm not necessarily saying that you need to decide right here and now, but I guess when I first started on the council, the situation has changed from then until now. The storyline has changed. The whole situation has changed. And whereas in the past, I was not in favor at all for the recycling program because of what they had going on up there with the MRF. That situation has changed. And so because it has changed, my opinion and vote will have changed as well. So I guess I'm also saying, is it needed to do a survey?
I think additional information is always valuable.
Yep.
But at the same time,
Public hearing too. once again.
we are elected to make decisions.
Right.
And we have sat here through several meetings with both Rich and Colette. And so we as a council have been given some pretty good statistics and information. And I think sometimes those things are hard to get out to the general public. And I think sometimes the council just needs to stand up and make a decision.
Okay. So would you be against putting together a survey and finding more information?
I would be saying we ought to just have a public hearing and an ordinance.
Okay.
I don't know if there's an ordinance that has to go along. Well, there's something we have to change the consolidated fee schedule. So we would bring that up as a fee schedule. We would get that notice out. If that's the direction the council would like to go, I will put that together and move forward with that portion of it.
Okay. Anything else? Or should we move on to 5.3 budget? Go for it.
Okay, so as I talked earlier, I've been working on a budget. I've decided, just for me, it's easier to break it up into smaller sections.
There ain't no way we can see that, by the way.
I don't see it either. So
Can you just zoom in on it, please, Haley?
or come up and
Can you make it be the whole screen?
Well, even then, I think we need to zoom in on it, even if it's the full screen.
then you can scroll over down, right? Okay. So, as I was discussing earlier in our strategic planning meeting, as I started putting the budget together and working with the staff, I've broken it up into smaller parts to help me, and hopefully it helps the council so that you're not getting everything thrown on you in 2 weeks and trying to figure it out. So I've kind of broken it up. This one here that I have right now, you can see what was approved in our last budget and what is proposed for this year. As you see, the revenues are not a big increase. We haven't had a lot of houses being built in Fruit Heights this last year. We got our second building permit just a couple days ago. So, those revenues, we scroll back, Haley. The revenues are really close to the same. We're hoping we'll get some more building permits, but all that comes, the $385,000 comes from the storm drain fee on the utilities.
So just to help you out, Dan, this first just top portion of the page is all money coming in.
Yep.
After that, it's money going out.
Yep.
Just so we're on the right frame of mind.
So as I've gone through the revenues to this point, in the storm drain fund, we are averaging right on where we should be as for what we budgeted coming in. I think that's good. I did base it on, I believe, 6 new building permits for this next year. So I do think we will hopefully get that with what's been sold up in the rock loft. And then possibly with another development that will maybe start in the next month or two. So interest is right on track. Also, it's actually a little bit higher, a little bit more interest than what we expected, but we should hit the interest rate on that as revenue. So I've kept that the same. The use of the fund balance, I think you guys look at that and you say, wow, we used $380,000 last year. This year's only 60. As you remember, we had a big storm drain project down on Orchard Court that we did this last year, and that's what that fund balance was used for, to do that project. Okay, can you scroll down a little bit?
And that's transferred from the general fund into.
No. That one there is actually from the storm drain fund.
Okay,
What
from
we did save
the
up.
storm
Yep.
drain fund into
A revenue, so we can use it as a
revenue.
expense. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So, and then, once again, I tried to put notes on those bigger expenses or those expenses that have changed, to help the council understand that portion of it. The professional and technical, once again, it's gonna be staying about the same. That's all our pipe cleaning that we're required to do, the street sweeping, that's a portion of that. Those kind of things, and that's pretty close to what it costs us to maintain the system.
And that's required from federal?
It falls into all our state, stormwater that we have to fulfill.
Al Gore.
Didn't I see decrease the miscellaneous?
I decreased the engineering.
Okay.
On stormwater.
Because we're not
We're
doing
not
the
doing a big
project.
project. We're finished up with the audit. So those costs are dropped down, so,
Great.
That's down quite a bit. There is an increase to the maintenance and repairs. We have a couple crack pipes that we have scheduled that we're gonna fix this summer. And that's the estimate that the Public Works has come up with to repair those. As we go down through, the increases to the administration and general fund, those are really close to the same, a little bit of an increase there. And then cost share to the vehicle, about the same. And then as you go down, we increased in our capital projects out of storm drains. Curb and gutter, there's more and more curb and gutter we need to get fixed, so we bumped that up a little bit higher to cover that. And then there's also a final payment that we have for the Orchard storm drain after 1 year. It's past its warranty and contingency and stuff like that we pay. So that's the storm drain budget. As you can see, our expenditures are down, and we're doing really good on that one.
Nice.
Okay, the sewer fund.
These numbers are crazy. That's more than our entire city budget used to be between the two of them.
Yes. So the sewer fund, once again, the same thing. You can see the revenues have increased a little bit. Right now, once again, we're right on track on the revenues as what we're collecting and going there. Interest rates are right where that fund is, and we're really close on where we're expected to be through that. And so there's a small increase in the total revenue. Once again, that's for homes being built. And also just where we are, just a tiny bit higher than what I budgeted as a revenue this last year. When we get down to the sewage treatment, we're actually a little bit less right now on what is costing to be treated. So you can see
Why
that
is
right
that?
now. What's that?
Why is that?
So when the sewer district came in and did their rate increases last year, they also came in and changed and used gallons of water for all the commercial, where it was up and down and all that kind of stuff. And so now as we've gone through this last year and actually charging per the gallons or whatever for anything, it's dropped the treatment because we're conserving water. So they're not using as much water, so the treatment costs have gone down, which is really good, which helps us once again. But there is an increase that you'll see down in the contribution section. It's still costing the city more money to do the buildings, to help pay for software, there are times the guys are out pulling manholes and stuff when we're doing projects and all those kind of things. And those costs need to be covered under the sewer department. So you'll see it is a big increase on the one to go to the general fund and cover those costs of the things we're doing, vehicles driving to the issue.
You guys tracking how much they're doing? Is that, or?
No, I mean, we just kind of go through and what are we doing throughout the days? What are those things that we're following through? And we're just trying to do a percentage.
More in a general sense than in a meticulous time card type sense.
It's pretty close to the percentage based. Like they're pretty close on that.
Yeah, we changed, this year I really went through the percentages of what is being charged and working with the public works of what we're doing. Also in the office, as we're taking different calls and those kind of things, we've kind of looked more of where are these costs at, and then you can charge those funds that are creating those costs, and that's what this is. So, so the revenues that I'm expecting this next year, right now, will be about $906,000 for the sewer. The majority of that is a pass-through to the sewer. It'll be, a big chunk still goes to them. And then we're really close on that on the expenditures and the transfers. Is there any questions?
Thank you.
Does the council prefer me to break it in small seconds like
Yes.
this?
Yes.
Thank you.
Otherwise,
It
the budget goes, "Ugh," and the eyes
It
go
makes it, I have to
cross,
say, it
right?
makes it a lot easier on me
Yeah.
as I can go through each things and get a little closer. I will tell you, I'm working on the water one right now. That one's a little bit tighter as far as revenues compared to expenses because of the increases. Plus, we are began looking at some different projects that we would really like to try to do this year. So there will be some projects associated with the water. They're smaller projects, but they're projects that if we can get them done now, will be a big benefit in the future. The other one with the water is Davis County is preparing to build a new animal control center. Part of the impact as far as things being built is fire flows up at the north end. And so as they're going through this project, we went to them and said, hey, as you're doing this project, we want to bring a water line through here. And so we're working with the developer of the Barker property and also with the county, but we will be budgeting this year for the water line going through the Davis County portion and down 650. And then we're working with the developer right now as far as making sure their portion is taken care of. So some things in that will be coming to you, but in the budget wise in the water, but we're going through that process right now. The other one that we're really looking close to try to bring to the council is the revenues for the general fund. I brought the expenditures this last time without the revenues. And so I've been working really hard on making sure our revenues are hitting where they need to be, compared to where the expenses that we put together. And also transferring enough money into the capital projects to finish up the front of the city building and some park items which we can use some impact fees for from the parks, and possibly a couple road projects. So there might be a lot of construction if the budget will progress in it to where we want it to go.
So
Those are the things that we coming to you.
one question that I asked Darren that I thought was helpful for me was the cost to update the front of the building seemed very high to me for what seemed like the stairs kind of falling off. But because it's an ADA compliant thing, whenever you come and modify that or update it, you can't just put it back to the old code. You actually have to update it to the most current code. And that is a big reason why it's going to cost a lot. So I thought that was helpful. I thought I'd pass that along.
And a majority of that cost will be covered by a grant through the county.
If we can go through that one, yeah.
That would be.
Well, I don't know if you're correct in saying.
Well, we're going to apply for the fall one. We can get a little bit, but
Because
I really didn't look at the.
I thought it was like $500,000, and I thought only 125.
Yeah, we had 125,000 to cover.
So that's
We
nice,
need to really
but it's not the
look at it
majority.
and make sure we're not got the other costs that are going to cost us money. But yes, we were looking at that grant for the fall.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Darren. And if you have any questions, please call Darren. He has made himself available to a couple of you already, so please reach out if you have any questions. Moving on to number 6.1, approve, deny, having a public hearing for the election process.
I would make a motion that we approve having a public hearing for the election.
I have a motion from Mark and a second from Sean. Any further discussion? Okay, not seeing or hearing any, we're going to move on. All in favor of approving having a public hearing for the election process, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
So 3-2. Item number 6.2, approve the February 16, 2025 City Council minutes. So I have a motion to approve those minutes.
I move that we approve the February 16th, 2025 City Council meetings minutes
As corrected, and Haley, hopefully you saw mine as well.
Yeah, sorry, I was super sick when I wrote them, so I'm glad you caught that. It was the tunnel, not the total.
There was a part there that didn't make sense, I don't.
Yeah, it's the cameras down on the tunnel you guys were talking about.
Oh, okay, the tunnel,
Yeah, I
okay.
think I put total. So
Yeah,
it's
I
already-
couldn't understand it.
And I would second it.
and you got that.
So a motion from Flo, second from Mark. All in favor of approving the minutes of February 16, 2025, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Calendar items, March 18th, City Council meeting. Can all of you attend that? Great. March 25th is Planning Commission meeting. City Council report. Mark, anything to report?
Couple things. Since I'm now the liaison of the Christmas community, I reached out to find out when we're going to be doing that, and it'll be scheduled for Sunday, December 14th, 6 p.m. So just put that on your calendars.
December 14th, you said?
December 14th.
Have you coordinated that with Karen?
Yes.
Thank you.
And we've got the building reserved both for Saturday and Sunday for setup.
Wow. Way to be on the ball, man.
And then on the Veterans Memorial out there, as you guys have noticed, we've got a lot of white moisture that is seeping up. So I've reached out to the vendor and he will come back, wash the rock, clean it, and then put a sealer on it. So when the weather gets a little bit better, probably, what would you say, probably May timeframe, I could probably start bird dogging him. Just so that it still looks good and it's not gonna do anything. That stuff will go away, but we might as well see if we can just keep it a little bit nicer.
Nice.
And that's all I have.
Thank you. Welcome back.
Well, thank you. I must say, it was interesting when I did come back. I read the minutes, and it was interesting. I felt like I kind of knew what was going on, and it was nice to read what happened while I was gone. I can tell nobody put in there that they really missed me or missed my report, so, but that's okay.
John?
Nothing for me.
Gary?
Darren and I have been reviewing these budgets. It's been a great experience. That's about it.
Great. Flo? Eileen?
Cemetery Committee met, looking at a bit of a revamp on how to do things and as far as the costs, and pretty much have decided that we'd like to continue putting some things together, but my understanding is that you would like to stop that.
Not stop it, just pin it. Just
Pin it to stop it.
not stop it. I think there's a time where that would be good, where we need to change the focus. The cost of burying individuals is, I think right now is cost prohibitive.
So do you want us to continue to meet?
What was decided downstairs was that you were going to continue conversations and continue presenting stuff and reviewing ideas. But I think right now, with the appetite for the lack of those within the city who want to be created, I think that is very cost prohibitive to bury individuals. And unless I hear otherwise, I would have to stay on that note. It's going to cost like $2 million when our entire budget is $2 million. It's going to be pretty cost prohibitive to do that.
I think we're hoping to come in with a lower budget in a different manner, so.
I'm absolutely open to that.
Okay.
I don't have anything. Do you have anything to discuss?
Daniel Park has Wi-Fi, just got looked up today,
Oh, wow.
so it's a public Wi-Fi accessible.
How are we monitoring that?
What's that?
How are we monitoring that?
As far as,
If someone jumps on our Wi-Fi and does various activities?
there's an acknowledgement you have to, terms and conditions you have to sign before you can actually access the Wi-Fi.
Okay, who set that up? Is that
Architect.
Our IT did, it has to go through a firewall and all sorts of stuff, so it's set up just as a public, so they can't shoot it anymore.
Yeah, is there any way we can capture like an email address or something that could be uniquely identified as they log on?
I can ask, but I have no idea.
So then the next thing you're going to research is how to get the Wi-Fi locks for the bathrooms?
Yep.
I believe every time somebody logs on, it logs their IP address, whether it be their phone or.
But that's the only personal identifiable information we could carry out, an email address or something that they would have to accept.
Terms and conditions.
There, then we can grab one more and we can possibly identify an individual.
I'm sure you can put that on there. I'll talk to him.
Thank you.
Could it be a phone, could it be a phone number?
Anything that can be
Okay.
identified.
Now, are we gonna be able to put the cameras in, or are we gonna wait a while before you put the cameras in? For the restrooms, for the,
We wanted, the door locks, we for sure want to get on before we open the cameras.
We're working on that,
Yeah.
camera.
They will present something, they'll bring some options to us. But they know that is the highest priority for us because we have to fix those bathrooms every time we open them in the spring. So I've thrown a couple ideas of they'll open any time, but they'll text someone a number, and then we can capture the last person who went in phone number. I don't care if someone goes in at midnight, as long as we have the phone number, and we can find out.
So then it would have to text back to their phone number and so it's not a burner phone or something, or?
Right, so it texts their phone of a code, they use that code to get into the bathroom anytime, day or night, so then we can track by phone.
Were you asking for a code for using the Wi-Fi or using the bathrooms?
Well, locks, there's different options on the back.
Different ones. Email for Wi-Fi, code for locks, for the bathrooms. Yeah, thank you. What else?
Street sweepers going around today, sweeping streets.
How are we on this retention basin
it's gotta dry out. It's way too late to get in there right now. All the the irrigation's in, just not the actual sprinklers. We just gotta grade it and see if it's ready to go. Put the actual sprinklers in.
Is it our responsibility, the other one, the one, at the, on Lloyd Road, is that our responsibility, or is that its county's?
Dave, or in the, driving range?
Yeah.
So that's ours. Grant is supposed to be coming back and doing some more grading in there to get it so it drains, so it's not holding water. I've been working with them on that. We haven't came to a conclusion on a plan just yet, but, so it's Dave, golf course maintains it, but it's owned by Blue Heights.
So it's our responsibility to work with Grant to get that redone?
Yes, and I have been. So is the golf course.
Do we have a time frame on that?
It was supposed to be in last August.
Great.
Grant is going here.
So last August, we'll plan on that.
Yeah, okay.
So speaking of retention basins, is there any chance of, you know, how we talked about the wild flower seeding and wild plant seeding, of doing something with the retention basin off of Southeast Oaks, so it's not a barren wasteland? Because, I mean, it used to have sagebrush and whatnot, but now it's just like, I don't know.
I'll have to look into that, yeah. I mean, I'm sure we could go reseed it with some wild grass or pictures.
I mean, this would be the season to do that.
Yeah.
And see if something doesn't want to grow in there that makes it less barren.
Yeah, I'll take a look at it.
Derek, do you have anything?
Once again, just working on a budget, finishing up the audit for our company. I'll have that finished tomorrow. And, little heads up, we did meet with the attorney, and I met with those individuals that are, looking at micro school, and we interpreted our portion of the law as our attorney, and so there's a lot going on there.
Are you interpreting as a residential micro school?
Yes.
Okay.
It is a residential property.
Right.
And so it does fall into that, but there are things, I will tell you that the hardest thing is it's such a brand new lot, there's not a lot to go against or to go with. And so there's a lot there. So we're working on that. So as more information or more things that need to move forward, I will be so much. Right now, it is a challenging process with that. Other than that, working on the budget and working with staff. Appreciate the council tonight being willing to work with the staff and their strategic planning. I think there was some good things and stuff that we can move forward with, so I appreciate that.
Thank you, Darren. We appreciate all you guys do. Nothing else on the agenda? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Let me have it.